So people watching this, thinking about going to their airline interview, you're evaluated from they give you a must-ride pass to get on their airplane to fly to their interview. The moment you show up, you're on display. So know that. So the way you treat the flight attendants when you get on that plane, like, hey, where's my coffee? Hey, I wanted 2 equals, not 1. Like, no, don't do that. Be as nice, golden rule, but be as nice as you can from the moment you show up, because your interview starts when you show up at the gate on that non-rev flight to your interview.
People are looking at you.
Yeah. And then, at the hotel, at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, they're watching you because of what you just said, this getting along thing. Because when you look back through history at all the major aircraft accidents, you would find most of them there was some kind of personality element between the two guys or the one individual. It usually wasn't a switch or, look at the Lockheed L-1011 that went into the Everglades for a landing light or the indicator light. The wheel was safe, but here they were misplacing priorities, and there was an attitude involved. When you look at the transcript of the tape, Tenerife accident, you had a very senior guy kind of in control. It wasn't the relationship you described where it's mutual, and you default to the safe thing. FO told, hey, no, I don't think we're clear for takeoff. Yes, we are. And, it cost a lot of lives. If it had been a more amenable relationship where, okay, if you're not sure, we won't go.
Right.
And we do this all the time, is ask again, and I heard it plain as day, but I will ask again, are we clear for takeoff? Are we clear position, line up and wait?
You can't clarify enough.
Well, it can get annoying, so everyone needs to listen up. So, if you're yapping below 10, taxiing around, you're missing stuff, you're doing it wrong. So you do need to listen up, and there are times when things can be confusing or there are distractions, so there are times when clarification is necessary. But most of the time you should get it on the first try, but if you don't, better to make sure you got the right thing. But yeah, the personality thing, and you're doing your interview, and you're in your interview. I remember my interview, man, we brought up a couple topics. You wouldn't think that the death penalty would come up on an airline interview. So, here in Texas, we got old Sparky. What do you think about that?
Oh.
And I went, that's kind of a sticky wicket. How am I going to, that had nothing to do with anything to do with flying. And if you're the type of person that, holding below 10,000 feet, you got to do that. We have a line-oriented interview where you're sitting in a cockpit mock-up and dealing with a problem. Well,
this is on the interview.
Yeah. So it's a separate part of the interview. But if you spit out the rules for holding, great, you know the rules for holding. But what's your philosophy?
What do you mean by philosophy?
So, 265. I don't even remember the max holding speed because I'm never even close to it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, let's see, I want to save gas, so I'm going to pull it back to L over D max, which is right around 200, and I'm going to save some gas. Because I'm holding. And, that's bottom line is fuel, and it's also time, where maybe the weather get better, I make it to the destination. Whereas if I hold at 265, which is silly, so I know the rule.
So I may be legal, but it might not be the best.
And you might want to explain that thought process, but they're trying to get inside your head.
Yeah.
Like you said, this computer is how does it function? Is it just do everything just barely within the rules? Or is it, use some smarts, massage the problem? So they're looking, and the interaction thing. So they're looking to see how you interact with them. And so treat them like a person, answer the questions normally like you would. And it's hard because here you are on display. It's, hey, I'm in my interview. I want to seem, full up and, like a shiny penny.
Right.
And I'm going to be, and you get a little uptight. And it depends on the airline. Maybe they like that. Don't know.
Right.
There's Delta with the rocking chair and the straight chair. You ever heard that?
No.
I think that's a thing they used to do. It's folklore. But they would put in the room, they had a rocking chair and a straight chair, see which one you sat in. And I have no idea what the criteria was.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. They had all kinds of little things they were looking at. And they also had the written psych eval and a lot of other hoops to jump through. But to identify certain personality characteristics. And I have no idea what the goal was there. But get past that, be yourself. And but as far as preparing goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting the gouge, finding out what questions they ask, reviewing them, because I know that even though I want you to cheat and I don't want you to lie and I don't want you to give me other people's answers to these questions. But if you haven't even become familiar with the questions, I'm not sure how badly you really want this job.
Right.
If you show up and to one of my questions that I ask all the time and say, God, I really haven't given that any thought. I don't know. That's not a very good answer.
Right.
Have something.
Right.
Yeah,
It's almost like not having read the Wikipedia page of the company you're going to interview
exactly,
for.
Yeah.
At least know what year we were founded.
Exactly. That would be good. And you brought up something else there. But stories.
What do you mean?
Have stories. Everyone, I mean, from day one on flight training, you have stories. You know, one of my favorite stories is off the coast here in California is I'm flying with Miran Megardici, and my first flight instructor, getting my 10 hours before solo. And, you know, ocean breeze and, you know, buildings and hills. And it's California. I'm trying to remember what time of year is fall. And we're bouncing around like this. And I'm fighting it. And I got my hands on the yoke, and I'm keeping the plane straight and level. And he goes, let go of the controls. And I let go of the controls, and instantly got smoother. And he goes, see, it is all the student. So I have that story. And I tell that story when people are manhandling the controls. I go, let go. I go, you shouldn't have a death grip.
Yeah.
Just touch
Finger,
it.
yeah.
And I go, if it's all trimmed up, shouldn't take much pressure.
That's so funny.
Anyway, but that's my let go of the controls.
Where was he from?
I think it's Armenian.
That's awesome. Let go of the controls.
Yeah.
And he taught you know what? But it's funny how those moments stick with you. Certain things flight instructors tell you, like I was sharing before, it will stick with me forever.
Yep.
It will stick with me forever.
Yeah,
That's
but
crazy.
have a lot of stories when you go to interview, and have a story. Well, for each of the questions you see that you might get asked, you know, it's tell me about a time that. Tell me about a time that this happened. Tell me about a time that you disagreed with a captain. Tell me about a time that you broke a rule and what you did. That one, come up with a rule that was, you know, not, well, I flew under a bridge. That's not a good one. First, don't go flying under any bridges. But if you did, I would recommend you kind of pick a different story.
Yeah. Find a rule that you broke unintentionally and then found out later it was a rule.
That's a good story.
I didn't mean to break
Didn't realize.
I didn't realize it was a thing. That's incredible.